serious?
Okay, so we should be
It says it's live stream, so that's good.
it's done redirecting.
Hopefully all their members tonight, because I never got anybody saying they weren't going to be there, but that doesn't mean anything. So
Yep, I see you on the YouTube.
Yep.
Yep, perfect. Let me
Okay,
check my
thanks.
phone, make sure it's on the YouTube. Wait, someone's watching already. Maybe that's me. I guess that's me.
Could be.
Let me search.
One viewer, huh?
Town of Poolesville. I can never figure out how to get the log. Oh, I see us now. Yep. Oh, 2. Oh, I'm logged in twice. Right.
Viewer, huh?
There we go. That's on YouTube. I see it. Good.
Yep. Is someone else with us now?
Not that I see yet.
Oh, wait, I think someone can never figure out how to get the log. Oh, I see it. Why do I hear my echo? Did you hear me twice?
No.
I can never figure out how to get the log. Oh, I think you have the YouTube on. Is one of you watching on the YouTube? Logged in twice.
Link is, I think.
Yeah, you have to log out of the YouTube.
There we go. That's on YouTube. I see it. There, is that better? That better?
Yes.
There you go.
Yep, because we don't hear us again.
That's good. It's bad enough hearing us the first time, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to repeat a mistake twice.
Let me check email, see if anyone's complained about.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I sent everybody a text saying I initially had trouble, but now it works. So hopefully they know that we're on.
Maria declined, but she didn't give a reason.
Oh, okay.
Wait. No, it just says she declined. I don't see anything from anyone else.
I know. I'm pretty sure Jim's going to join because he sent out that draft letter that we're supposed to consider. So
yeah,
I don't see any other emails of anybody else. I hadn't seen any for the last several days saying they weren't going to make it. So, and nobody responded to my initial email with the agenda. So
Ed said he's joining soon.
okay.
Email?
Text.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I see his text now.
How many for a quorum? I forget the number.
Well, there's let's see. There's actually, I think there's 6 of us really. So we need at least 3 to have I guess technically 4, I suppose, but
If Ed comes on.
yeah, that should be about it.
You heard from Catherine?
No, I did not. And I did not hear from Lynn either. So, and I texted everybody again, just anyone else coming. So
Although, unless you're taking a vote, you may not need a quorum, right? Or is it?
there's Jim. Hey, Jim.
Do we have anything to vote on?
Jim's on.
Oh, good.
Who's on the meeting right now?
You, me, Kevin, and Laura. And Ed just texted and said he will be joining shortly. So that should be enough to get the meeting going, I think, at that point. I don't think Maria's going to join, apparently, but I haven't heard from Lynn, so I don't know. about her. And
That-
Catherine, I think she said she's going to be out of town this week, so she won't be here.
That should give me plenty of time to read the hatchet job that you put in the monocle.
I've already gotten feedback, so I don't.
What was in the? I didn't get to a story yet near me. Is there a good monocle to read?
Can you read that? I know it's opposite.
No, I can't see you.
Yeah. He's got a nice, Link just has an article written about the town manager resigning. That's all.
Come on.
What's that?
Wait, that
Yeah.
was from a year ago, right?
No, right, exactly.
Is this a different story?
Yeah,
Yep,
it's a different
same
one.
story, different name.
Yeah, I actually just took the old one and just put in new names. That's all. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
So if you see Tony on, it's not really Tony attending this meeting.
Yeah.
We assume that.
God.
Wow. Well, that was I'm not we're on YouTube, so I won't say anything.
Yeah.
Oh, it's let's see.
Is that resignation effective immediately?
His resignation is effective, but with a date. I think that he says he'll stay through the end of January, February, March, April, or something like that. But if we need him to leave sooner, he will. And if he can stay later because we're in the midst of doing something, that he'll consider it.
Oh, all right.
And it's basically he goes part-time after January 1.
Yeah.
But that will be enough to get us over the hump until we can figure out what the heck we're doing. So, yes. Yeah. And I don't see us calling back. I don't see us calling in Wade to do anything at this point. So.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. I think he made it clear on the last go round that he didn't want to come back.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
I like
anyway,
working with him.
well, oh man, it would be great to have him back. No question. Tony was great. Tony was easy to work with. It just didn't work.
Yep,
So.
I get it. Totally get it.
Yeah, he'd just a little too much going on for him. So understood.
Yeah.
Anywho, so what's happening? Are we rolling?
Well, do we have enough?
Yeah, we have 6 members, so I guess technically 3 is a majority. So, and Ed said he is joining, so I guess we can start. And I think Ed will be joining shortly. And maybe since one of the most important things I think we got to talk about is the White's Ferry letter, the first agenda item, we should probably wait on that until Ed joins. I think that may be helpful because both you and Ed, Jim, participated in that commissioners meeting. It would be good to get your perspectives on it, but
Yeah, it's fine.
so let me go to item number. Let's first do the minutes. I did send those out. Hopefully you all read them. And if anybody has changes, that's good. If not, can we get a motion to approve them in a second?
Are we going to wait for Ed for that motion, or we can do it now, right?
I think we can do it with 3. It's 6. That's a majority.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So let's move to item 2. And I just got a note from Maria saying she's at a holiday dinner this evening. So, and she said she could help with the Christmas cards next week if that's how, and we can talk about that later. But so the first item I wanted to talk about beyond the White's Ferry is the letter to the county executive. As you know, we did approve a letter. It was sent out. Lynn also just texted, by the way, she's teaching, so she won't be able to get on. We copied the council and the board members. I got several acknowledgements. Nothing beyond that, but at least they all saw it. It might be good. I'm going to do this myself, but tomorrow at the breakfast, Jim, we might want to just, if we, any of the council members in particular, if we see them, have a chance to chat with them, that may be a good thing to raise with them if they got the letter and they had any reactions to it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, though, I think I did get a note from Greg Wims, very positive, saying he's very, very appreciative that we sent it and he's going to check with the county executive about it. So that's good too. So I think that had the effect we wanted. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about that, but I want to make sure you know it went out and it's been received.
Mhm. Yep.
Any other points on that anybody wants to raise?
No, but we definitely, I'll make sure that Ed and Jeff refresh themselves on the letter before we go tomorrow, because I just was with Jeff and he wants to know our, points when we get together with people. Basically, I'm just gonna be taking him and Ed around tomorrow and introducing him and, make sure he's up to snuff. He's ready.
Great. That'd be great. Good idea. The second item on there is the budget process and next steps. So the letter to the county executive is really, as you know, kind of a part of the process we followed the last several years. And every year in the last 3 years, we've had a letter that we usually sent sometime in the August timeframe to the Board of Education, the superintendent, laying out issues with respect to the budget. Then we testified, of course, which we did this year again. And then we sent a letter to the county executive, usually around this time, because his CIP budget is submitted in January. And then usually after the CIP budget is submitted, depending on what he includes in the budget, we do a follow-up letter to the council, which is sometime in the early February timeframe. And hearings usually start in April. So we don't have any letters yet we need to do, but we'll have to follow that January CIP submission, which is I think the 15th, very closely, just to see what's in there and see if it's reflective of what we would like to see in it. Hopefully we'll see it. And if it does, we reinforce it obviously with the council with a letter, but if not, we'll need to send them a letter, just again, elaborating on the points that we don't think are in the CIP as submitted by the county executive. So we may need also, Lori's to think about it. If the CIP the county executive submits is one that basically reflects the issues that we wanted to see reflected, it might be good to have a reaction statement for the media, I would think. So we ought to be thinking about that. But that's basically it. We may, and last year, we also did a muster letter after we sent letter to the council, which I think, again, probably makes sense, depending on where we see things at that point. If it looks like it's extremely positive and things look like they're really going well, we may not need it. But even if it is included in the budget, I don't think it hurts at all to have the citizens weigh in, just saying it's great to see you included in your CIP key issues that the Fair Access Committee has been pushing for, and we urge you to consider them and approve them in the council's budget process or something like that. So, hi, Ed. Glad you could join.
Hey, thanks. Sorry, ran into some technical difficulties. I got a new computer. And,
you look a lot clearer. You're much more, you're digital. You're a lot more digital.
Yeah, Apple. How about that? Mac ProBook. All right. Yeah.
We're just going over the letter to the county. I didn't do the White's Ferry piece yet because I wanted you to be on since you and Jim were in the discussion.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. Sorry, guys, for being late. I apologize.
No problem. So that's it on the budget process. I think it's pretty straightforward, and I'm relatively encouraged that we'll see some things in the CIP this year that will be helpful to us, both on the community center front and on the gym. The only thing I'm still not sure we'll see anything on is the wellness center, and that's still something we need to talk about, but that may not be part of it. But I do think those other two items, we have a shot at seeing something in the budget. So,
it is kind of amazing to me that we've gotten some traction on the wellness issue, and it's only because we've been pounding it every single time we talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But they really have not grabbed a hold of it yet, and that's a little odd. This is the health of your residents. It's probably just not as sexy as putting bricks and mortar school on the ground or, building a community center. But it's amazing to me that they have just not wrapped their head. And they paid. How much was the county study on health? How much did that cost? That was probably, that was probably really expensive. And now we got the results. And what does that mean? Well, it's like low traction for them.
It's a really good point too, Jim, because today in the Good Morning America segment, which, being a retiree, I actually do watch that a lot. I have the luxury of doing that, but it actually is really informative sometimes. And this morning they had, and I have to go back and look at where the study was done, but apparently there was a major survey that was just completed on the mental health of teens in America. You may have seen it, Ed. I don't know if you did or not, but it was amazing. But Unfortunately, I think the figure remember was 25% of the teens in the survey said they had experienced depression, were essentially depressed. 20% said they had thoughts of either suicide or harming themselves. So I know Ed's raised this point, and he did very eloquently in his comments on the breakfast, but this is just another indicator that it's there, it's simmering. And I know, I think we're going to be sorry that we don't do more to encourage more access to mental health services for our students. And this is one of the best ways to do it, since they're building a new building anyway. I don't know, Ed, if you want to add anything.
Yeah,
or
sure.
not.
I think the other piece too, when we talk about this wellness, not just the mental health piece, but if we tie it into to kids and even our seniors, you have having a facility that's designated to help folks just engage with each other, participate in recreational activities. All of those things contribute to a healthier community. When you talk about the rise of childhood diabetes, you talk about depression among seniors and some of that loneliness factor, being, or I guess I call it the isolation. And so when you can have structured programs that bring people together in a facility, I think that piece is really important. And then when we talk about even just educational opportunities to enrich the community. So when we went over and we looked at the Scotland Recreation Center, and we think about, well, why would you build a recreation center in the Scotland community? Well, everyone knows there are the benefits to the community. Or if you go over there, look at the recreation center in Good Hope. Well, we all know that if you can have a place where people can go and have something to do, not just kids, but just our seniors as well, I think those, it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. Well, you know how I feel about that piece. If we look at some of those talking points, though, when we talk about equity and fairness, it's you have over in different communities, you have something that's catered really to a small community, and that's Scotland. So that was a model. And although we didn't go over to the Good Hope Community Center over in Silver Spring, it's like the Burtonsville area.
Yeah.
But it's kind of off the beaten path. And so if you're in that area, there's a place to go. And so when we think about not just Poolesville, but all of this western side of Montgomery County, I think that's part of the emphasis that has to be made. Yes, we advocate for Poolesville, but we also advocate for those surrounding regions. And I think that's the piece that has to be kept in mind. You need to have at least one, you don't have any, if you could have at least one. And I think, Link, that map that you had put up at the breakfast, it really showcase all the different places around the county and the higher concentration east of 270.
Right.
It's something that is worth a discussion. It's worth an investment, not a discussion.
Based on that, Ed, it might be a good idea to, I'll have to look up this GMA, the study they referenced, but it might be good if we can get a good handle on what that is. If it's as powerful as I think it is, it might be good to just do an email to council members, because I don't know if you saw, but when Gabe was elected president, I watched his video. He did a video talking about his presidency and what he's planning to do. He had three major points, and one of his second point was healthcare and equity of access to healthcare and mental health services. So I think there might be an opportunity to, and if you see him tomorrow, you may want to raise with him, because he talked about it very eloquently, that we need to do more to reach out to people that don't have access to healthcare. But I think an email might be a good thing too, if we have that, if the study's as good as I think it is, just remind people that, hey, we've talked about a wellness center in Poolesville. The school is being rebuilt. Right now is the time to really plan for it. And given what this study says, we know that these issues are serious with our teens, and they're probably more serious because of the pandemic than they've ever been.
Which study are you referring to?
Good Morning America had and I did not found it. I didn't remember the source, but it looked like it was very powerful. I only saw a real brief segment of it, but apparently a major new survey of teens came out, and one of the findings was that 25% of teenagers now express feelings
Okay.
of depression. 20% say they have felt like they want to hurt themselves, or felt like they might want to actually end their life. So I mean, it's a pretty significant number. It's gone up a lot during the pandemic, and it's just another indicator that it's it's simmering. It's a thing that we know is there, and it's worse than it probably has been.
Probably another good thing to look at is even looking at the number of kids who have been referred to the
Oh, yeah.
crisis center, those who actually go to the one off of Picard. And if there was something, we just to underscore the importance of mental health.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if we look at the national stuff, if you're looking at national studies, CDC says suicide is the second leading cause of death for young people between the age of, I think, 10 to 34. And then in Maryland, it's I think it's the third leading cause of death for that population. A training I was just in a couple days ago.
Oh, okay. Well, you want to help? Maybe we can put together a good email that references some studies that actually do this, and then send it out to some council members.
Just not to belabor the point, I think it would be good to reach out to Charlotte with the UPN network.
Yeah.
And having that a similar message where you're saying it's not just fair access or the town of Poolesville, but it's also with it, that group, they dedicate their work to this cause right here.
Yeah. I
And
was on
imagine-
the UPN board, but I haven't been doing it lately because I got too many other things with my mom and dad. So that's a good point.
Because I think also the more I think about it, if we reach out to Charlotte, and then maybe there's some student members that are on, because I know they have an active student participation and leadership.
They do. Yeah.
And perhaps that's another voice that can be amplified.
Yeah. And this is one of those times where the time is right, because we have a school that's going to be rebuilt, and it's fantastic to build it in as they plan it. So
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing just in keeping in mind with that, and it always makes me wonder, we've heard now from several people, important people, that the county is going to be flush with more money than they thought they were going to get, and they're going to get more federal money than they thought they were going to get. So both sides of it, tax revenue and federal revenue. It's still kind of amazing to me that some of these, remember whenever we used to propose something, we used to have it in our budget. We had to show that we were like, quote unquote, shovel ready, right?
Right.
So we've got these concepts that are potentially shovel ready right now, that it's kind of amazing to me that we don't get more traction, or what are they holding back? Like, and starting with the gym, and then moving on to these something that addresses these health outcomes. Well, it's like, there's no conspiracy theory. Just wonder why those buckets aren't arranged that way.
Yeah. No, it's really a good point. I was just the other day looking at and I was talking to Carolyn Taylor about it a little bit to see what their views are. But I don't know if you saw this or not, but the county just purchased what used to be a big farm on Club Hollow Road. I think it's 538 acres. It goes all the way down to Sino Canal. It was close to $4 million to buy that. There's no plan, according to Carolyn, about what to do with this facility other than it's open land, and they want to keep it and preserve it. But they dropped $4 million on buying it without too much thought. They also, at the same time, put almost $7 million into a 1 acre pocket park. I think it's in Silver Spring. So I think to your point, there's money. It's just a question of why can't we get them to allocate it to some of these really important needs? And that's part of our job, I guess, is to keep pushing that. So
especially when their own studies show that they're needed.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part.
Like, I'm curious about just if and maybe Gabe would be that person. What was the thought process that was able to create the recreation center in Germantown that's adjacent to the Kingsview Middle School, and that whole partnership between the county and between the school system and the county to have that kind of a facility? And then I think about when I was coaching basketball out here, we had a lot of games over there, and I know how tight everyone is for space to do games, how tight people are with space to even just having a place to meet. But the question is, what was the thinking that made them move forward to create that facility? It's a very nice facility.
Yeah, it is.
And so, when we think about concepts of how can you have because some people have raised the question about student safety and having something like a wellness center or a recreation center next to a school. But I think the Kingsview model in Germantown is a good example of the possibilities that can benefit a community.
Yeah. Yeah. Before you got on the committee, Ed, we actually had a tour of that facility. Robin Riley, the parks person.
Let's hang
helped
for
us-
1 second, okay?
He'll just set that up, and it was really a good tour. And you're absolutely right; it's a great facility. They got a shared gymnasium between the school and the rec center. It's a big gym, and they can divide it in two, and the school can use it at the same time that the rec center does. It's a nice facility. There's no question about it. So yeah, Robin may actually have some pretty good perspectives on the history of that, how it happened. So I certainly will reach out to her and find that out. But tomorrow we should see almost all the council members, and certainly if you haven't met Gabe.
No, I remember I met him at the Scotland when we were
Okay,
over
yeah,
there.
that's right. Well, when you get a chance, certainly you can raise these issues with him, because I'm sure he can fill you in on some of that stuff. He was there for quite a long time in the Parks Department. So
Yeah, we had a pretty good vetting of the reasoning behind Kingsview and Germantown combo. And I don't know about you, Link, but when our kind of a detailed going over with that, there seemed to be, there was definitely plenty of pluses, but there was also a couple minuses that I think the county would rethink about in terms of putting those two buildings together again. And I sensed a little bit of hesitation on that. And since then, I don't believe they've done one since. I don't think they've done a combo, not a school community center combo.
yeah, they did win at Wheaton, but that was a library combo with the community center.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a good point. One of the issues they raised, Ed, which I know is probably more significant now, although I thought they did a great job of addressing it at Kingsview, was security. With the school, with all these people who are obviously not part of the school system coming into the building all the time. They had double locked electronic doors. They had 20 different camera angles. So they had a pretty good security system, but they did mention that as one of the issues that raised concerns. So, okay. No, those are good, helpful points. I'll certainly follow up though. And UPN is a good point. I talked to Charlotte before about this, and she's obviously very supportive, but I don't think their members have gotten engaged, and it would be good to see what she thinks about it. So,
Okay.
So that's the budget process. Going on to the next point, which is the political process for next year. Just wanted to touch on that a little bit, because we're end of the year coming now, and the council, just as you know, voted on the districts that were recommended to them by the commission. So we now have districts that have been established. The district that we're in is pretty much like the districting commission had recommended. I think they made some changes and they added like parts of North Potomac or something, but by and large, it's what we saw in the map that was done by the redistricting commission. So we got a lot of what we thought was a good idea, which is pretty much the entire ag reserve over through Germantown and up to the edge of Clarksburg. So that's pretty much what our district is now.
There was a great chart in the MCM, today's MCM newspaper, and I'll send it out to everybody.
Okay, good.
Very clear cut.
So we know, and there's at least one candidate I know that is running, and that's Marilyn Branscombe, who's the chairman or the president right now of the Germantown Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if there's other candidates. I think, Jim, you mentioned there was another one that you knew that or contacted you.
No, they hadn't contacted me, but there is, Marilyn said that it's a gentleman that's a effective neighborhood organizer in Germantown will be running against her.
Okay. Yeah, his name is Will.
Oh,
yeah. Do I have that right, or did I mess that up?
No, I think you got it right, because he came over, he was canvassing, just talking to people over at Locals when Jennifer had her event over there. And so I met him there. I think I've met him before, but he was more visible.
Huh.
at that point.
I didn't even know he was coming. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, he came, shook hands, took pictures, passed out cards. We'll
Mhm.
probably see him tomorrow.
That'd be good. Yeah, it'd be good to meet him.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the reason we've been able to achieve, I think what we've achieved is that we have reached out to members of people like that, even when they're running for office. And in fact, the first Fair Access Committee breakfast was so successful because it was an election year. And we had a lot of people there who never got elected, but they were there for the first time.
Yeah.
So,
You're right.
so, but I did want to put one idea on the table because I think it might be worth serious consideration, and that is us sponsoring a debate for the county executive candidates. You never know how the candidates will think about this. Sometimes some candidates don't really decide that, debate is necessarily what they want to do, but I think in most cases they would welcome it. And we certainly, as you remember, the last time in the last election, we had a debate out here with the three candidates then running. And it was a first, really, and it was a great opportunity for residents to meet the candidates. So I think the key is, and Laura, you can comment on this too, but I think the key is to get on their calendars pretty early if we're going to do some kind of or sponsor some kind of debate. But let's give that some thought. I don't think we need to do it right now, but certainly early in the year, it'd probably be a good idea to firm up some idea if we're going to do it, and then invite the candidates. Right now, there's 4, as far as I know: Tom Hucker, David Blair, the current county executive, and Hans Reamer. So
I think it's a great idea because with so many running, sometimes it's just a handful of votes that can make the difference.
yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah,
We should make that our first priority in January.
right.
Just select and nail down a date, probably in March.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I think the candidates usually strategically plan them around the county. So I think we should get our request in first, because I'm not sure we dictate the date. They kind of, I think, geographically think it through and plan it out. So
You mean not really, and we should invite them, but not really say we got a firm date of March, but just say we would like to sponsor one. We had one 3 years ago up here in the Western County, and it'd be a good opportunity for you to get before our citizens and just see how they respond. Is that what you're saying?
I thought the one we did 3 years ago, we scheduled it, advertised it, and people came. I didn't know we went through.
yeah, we fit into their schedule, Kevin, because they do them around the county. I think they do 3 or 4, or maybe sometimes even 2 or 3. So I think, and then the candidates have to agree on the dates and the time, and they have to be available. So I think our request should go in early. Number one, if you want to try to pinpoint, a month or 2, you can suggest that, but I think we're also at their mercy about, geography and timing on their end.
Trying to fit in their calendar.
So what's the process of getting our name in for that?
So what
that
we did
something
in
we
the
can do
past,
now?
we reached out to the campaigns and the campaign managers, and we knew some folks. So we got kind of in the game late last time. We were lucky.
We did. Yeah.
So that's why let's get in early. And again, we could say our preference is to host the first forum or the first debate, in March or whatever, but we should think that through too. Where's the greatest benefit to the community, early or later, closer to the election?
Yeah. I guess I'm just thinking about it really quickly and not looking at all the details of the issue. It seems to me it'd probably be better to get in early, but because by the time you have a number of debates, a lot of the issues get a little more stale, and probably a lot of our issues will never get any recognition. But if we're there kind of at the very beginning, it maybe makes an imprint. I don't know.
Well, they say you don't get what you don't ask for. So maybe we could try to get on the front end to even help kick off the debates.
Yeah.
Well, and even shape some priorities, right? Even though they already have their priorities, but give them something to latch onto that's important to Western Montgomery County as a priority
That's a
issue.
great point.
Well, do you want to take that on then, Laura? Just get a sense of what reach out to the campaigns and see what their sense is about whether they'd be open to it, and it would be early spring would be something that might be viable.
Sure.
And then in the January meeting, if we get a better sense, then we can go ahead and, as Kevin said, go ahead as soon as we can and try to get this thing on the calendar.
Okay.
All right, that's great. All right, I've got nothing else on the political process, I don't think. The holiday greeting cards, I know, Jim, they're all printed up. What I was thinking about doing, and you guys have other ways to approach it, that's great. I have a printing system on my computer, and I was just thinking about, I've got all the addresses for the council, Board of Education, superintendent and all that. I was gonna just print out the envelopes myself. I don't think it would be too hard to do. The cards don't have to be signed. So, and stuffing them together won't be that much. So I was thinking, we're talking 40 or 50 cards. Does anybody have any other reactions or approaches that are better than that? Or I know,
How-
Laura, that that Sarah had developed an electronic card, and I thought it looked very nice. I don't have any. I think that's a good idea to send that out, but I think since we're going to send out physical cards to the board, superintendent, and the council members and the county executive and some of the key staff, that probably we should take them off the electronic list, but send it to all the stakeholders that we have on our list. That might be a good idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We got plenty of cards. I printed a ton just because I could.
Okay,
So
well,
no-
we'll have them
no
for next
hold.
year and years after that, so that's good.
Oh, we could.
How many cards? How many cards?
How many did I have? I think I printed 500.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Electronic for the stakeholders is good.
Yeah.
And we can do that with our muster software.
Okay. Well, does that sound like a plan then? Anybody have any other reactions?
If you could do that link, that would be great. Thank
Yeah,
you. While you're sitting there drinking your coffee and watching your Good Morning America. you can,
Since I don't do anything else as a
I
retiree.
mean, the
That's
rest
fine.
of us, I do believe the rest of us are all working and
He's writing
yeah,
articles also. You gotta give him credit now.
that's right. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All good. Thank you, man.
No problem. I also will send cards to all the commissioners too. I think that's a good idea, just to let them know we're reaching out. So, and then you
Sure.
guys,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
And let them know it didn't cost us anything either.
yeah. Remember, we're trying to save money, trying to be efficient.
Mhm.
Okay. So Laura, on the electronic card, I think as Kevin said, I think that's good. I just don't want to send an electronic one if we've already sent it to so I'll send you a list of all the folks I sent it to so we can make sure we don't send it to all them. But other than that, it's a great idea because a lot of the stakeholders that we want to keep engaged are not necessarily leaders in the county and the political level, but actually people in associations and organizations that we work with, like the PTSAs, the Chamber of Commerce and people like that. So I think it's good to send an electronic greeting card.
Okay. Do you have any timing on that, or at any time we can do it?
Well, it's not too far from Christmas, so I guess we should try to do it next week if we can.
Okay.
And Kevin can work with you on the muster side of it. So
Okay.
good. Now Jim and I are going to be seeing each other tomorrow, so I'll pick up the cards then. So. All right. Now let's go to the first item, and it's what I think the one that's going to probably a little more important is the White's Ferry issue. Most of you knew already, and certainly Ed and Jim can jump in and give their perspectives. They were a part of the discussion. The commission discussed the issue of whether to send a letter to the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors and the county council members here in Montgomery County and some of our delegation members about White's Ferry. And the idea was to have a letter that both just again reminded them that we're the jurisdiction most directly affected by this issue, and it's been going on a year, and here's some ideas that could possibly jumpstart it. And even if those don't necessarily strike a chord with you, we need to get our hands dirty and start making something happen here. We need to make this happen and get the ferry running. And some of the details about some of the other issues about investing in improving it, modernizing, and all those things need to be done too, but those are down the road here. We just need to get the ferry going again. I think that's a fair summary of what the letter does essentially. Jim took the draft that I had put together, and again, what happened at the commission discussion was initially, I think there was sort of a discussion about whether we should just do a letter or not a letter or just a press release. And I think they ended up saying, I think they're probably going to do both, a release, but also a letter. So, and I believe it was the consensus that it would also be signed by the Fair Access Committee members. So it's a joint letter with us and the commissioners. So you guys have to give your okay to it as well. Jim sent a drafted around today. I think it looks good. There's a couple of typos, Jim, but we can fix those. But other than that, I
Thank
think
you.
it's on
You know,
target.
if it doesn't highlight it in red on my computer, then, you know, I'm assuming it's all good.
Other than that, it looked good to me. And I don't know, Ed, if you wanted to add anything, or Jim, your perspectives on the issue or not.
The only thing I want to add, sorry to interrupt, Ed, if you were starting off, is that the Chamber of Commerce has asked to see if they could also, they would run it past their membership to see if they could sign on to it as well. And Link and I kind of talked about it, but we want to put in front of our group here to see if there was any feedback on that, because, you know, one of the things we do claim when we talk about White's Ferry is that how it has dramatically affected our businesses as well. And having the chamber sign on, I don't think that hurts. And I think it could help, and they want to be involved, and they want to actively, you know, have their voice heard too. So it's up to us to decide if we want to include it or not. But I would be in favor of including them.
No, I agree. I think if you have, it shows that it's a big issue and that there are many people that are affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I don't see any downside really. I mean, this is originally a government letter, but that doesn't mean that prominent local organizations that have, as you said, been directly impacted shouldn't be able to sign on too. So.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I wasn't totally following what scenario 2 is about.
Well,
Can you explain that more?
Yeah, what I was trying to suggest there, Kevin, was that the primary issue, that at least one of the primary issues that kept getting raised, was the 50 cent per car idea. And maybe we could use that as a hook to kind of get the ferry going by saying, okay, we'll get the 50 cents paid. We'll do it for a set period of time. Let's say 2 years or whatever they decide to do. But in the interim, we still got to get a longer term agreement, whether it's a private one or the government decides to do something, you know, down the road, if they decide to do something like eminent domain. And so this idea of this was to say, okay, we'll do a 50% cent charge for the interim. Obviously, they wouldn't be paid by the Maryland landowner; it would be paid by the government. But in that space, while they're running the ferry, but there's no long-term agreement, the government would offer its good offices to essentially bring the two parties together and have them negotiate. And the difference in this proposal than what's happened to date, at least the way I understand it, is they've essentially said, please negotiate, and they've negotiated on their own, but you know, they essentially have fought, is what it looks like. This proposal says, and the reason I propose this is I've done this when I was in Congress. We brought in two parties. The senator would say, look, they can't agree, but I don't want to have them, you know, both trying to lobby me or issue press releases and, you know, try to do things to knock the other person off their block. So I want you to be my staff representative to sit there and listen to what's going on. Let me know what's going on. Keep reporting to me. And if you see that it's not going well or people aren't taking it seriously, then I want to know about it. The intent is to put some more pressure on them to actually negotiate seriously. That's it. It's not again, I think either one of these two ideas is not perfect, but it's an idea to try to get it off dead center and try to get something started is what we're trying to do. So
how would that be funded?
Well, I don't know. As Jim said, I think there is plenty of cash out there if they really want to do it. And if you look at the numbers, Kevin, just a back of the envelope, you're talking 400 to 800 cars a day. Let's say so 50 cents, right? So let's say it's $400 a day. You're going to be paying times 365 days a year. So you're not talking a lot of money. It's not millions of dollars. It's, you know, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for 2 years if we did that. So it's not that expensive in the great scheme of things. And it's especially not expensive when you think about the fact that all these residents are spending a lot of money, extra gas time, extra personal time away from their families and so forth, because they can't use the ferry. And then the business impacts that Jim talked about, the very costs that we're talking about probably offset that tremendously, I would think.
So, you know, and the other thing is too, the point behind it is that it takes the two parties kind of off the schneid, and it puts it back on where we think the thing has laid the whole time with government. and that they've got to be the ones. I mean, I'm not in favor. Like if they were going to say, well, we're just going to raise your taxes to pay for this. Well, I don't like the idea of that, obviously, but you're talking about $75,000 from their county per year and $75,000 a year from our county per year. If we pay them, if we call everybody's bluff, he starts the ferry up, he doesn't have to deal with her. They get their 50 cents a car for 2 years because that's what they said they would accept, even though that came with conditions. And then the counties basically have to put the amount of money in that they put into the study to get this to get the ferry operating again. And then it also puts them on notice that they've got to help find a solution. They're funding it. They need to figure out a way to not fund it and to get this figured out. So the difference between the two approaches is that is one where it's a per car and they just pay that. The other is that the easement gets negotiated on the Virginia side, and Maryland has to be open-minded about what the ferry means to them and see if we make some sort of contribution to that easement. And the easement's probably got to be permanent.
And the idea, Kevin, with the first option was that at least, and having been at the hearing and seeing this firsthand, and Jim was there too, and so was Jeff and Laura, those two parties just do not respect each other, do not want to talk to each other. And so the idea of this is, okay, you don't want to talk to the mayor landowner, then talk to the Virginia state people and the county people who you have talked to and you seem to have a relationship with, work with them on an easement. And meanwhile, the Maryland guy, who again, I think does not really hasn't had a good relationship with the Virginia landowner, is taken off the hook to have to deal with her. Once the easement's done, he's dealing with the state over there. They've got the easement, the ferry can then run. And he says he wants to open the ferry. He said, I really want to do it as soon as I can. Well, that gives him an opening. You would think that would be a lot less tension than it is right now. So I think the bigger point, Kevin, is I don't know that we have any solution. There's no silver bullet here, but we're trying to get them to think out of the box and not just focus on this one issue, which dominated the hearing in Loudoun County. And it certainly didn't look to me like it's either, if it does have traction, it's going to take a long time to get it resolved. And even though if it does get proposed, it's a legal process and it'll take a long time, I think, to work that out. So we're just trying to get them to jumpstart and really think about how do we get this going sooner rather than later.
Kevin, if you got another idea on that, we're just kind of grasping.
Oh no, I was just trying to understand. I'm made sure I understand what I was reading.
Yeah,
and making sure I was on the same page.
Yeah, no, it's fine. If you got another idea, I'd love it.
Or if we could articulate it better too.
Well, I'm just thinking of the first argument out here. Why am I, taxpayer A, going to pay for landowner A or B? Right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
I think that's going to be the first knee-jerk reaction people are going to have.
Yeah.
What if the county refuse? Would the town of Poolesville have any? Is there any like federal grant funding with the HERF funding and all the the COVID funding, this windfall of COVID money?
Kevin, you bringing up a point. I don't know if it's ever been explored, but looking at Department of Transportation, are there any kind of grants or special things, or even money out there that support historic, like something that's a historic society that would fund something to keep something like that running, given the history aspect, and then going back to the Department of Transportation, it's just, I don't know, you never know what kind of funding sources are out there, but just
the National Park Service, would they have? Right,
that's a good example.
Well, yeah. So, Link, what do you think about? I mean, Kevin may be on something here. What do you want to? Do we even want to suggest that they should? Could let these guys think that they got the great idea, but should we put it to them that potentially these, maybe a third paragraph, potentially these two options could be, created, reconciled through some of these departments working together to come up with the funding needed. I mean, it's 150 grand a year at 25 cents, 50 cents a car. So, you know, who's got that infrastructure budget that was maybe came in through COVID or whatever? Who's got that?
Yeah, I would think federally that would be more easily to go through.
Yeah.
Than countywide.
That's a good paragraph to add. I would think if you want to draft something like that up, Jim, that'd be good.
Yeah, I'll put it together. Yeah.
I think the other thing, Kevin, it keeps striking me about this whole thing is that if there wasn't a ferry there, if it was a public, you know, a truly public roadway, there would be tax money spent on it all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And it isn't, and we don't want a bridge there, but and it's privately owned. But the fact is that because of private ownership and because of the lack of the ability of the government, at least right now, to force them to do anything, we're left with a public service in effect that isn't working as a public service. So I don't see that I think it's incumbent on government to be willing to step up and pay some money to get a public service running again, even if it is in private hands.
Well, I think it's both a public service, plus it's a historical landmark that I think the C&O Canal would want to incorporate. I think Ed's on mute. Are you trying to talk, Ed? Oh, he's talking to somebody else.
Talking to my kids, you know, I gotta make sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like maybe spark the idea to our county leaders that, you know, in that letter that, hey, maybe this could be a federally funded initiative with National Park Service to preserve history, to enhance the C&O Canal National Park, to preserve history, enhance the parks. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you raised it though, because it does make me think once the letter comes out, we're certainly going to get inquiries and the media is going to ask questions like the one you just asked. So it's good to have an answer. And I gave you the best answer I could come up with. I think the other part of the answer is the one Jim mentioned, and that is that you're talking a relatively small amount of money, and it's not supposed to be in perpetuity either. It's supposed to be, if they're not talking about the right of way, the first option. The second option is only a limited amount of time. We don't want that. We're not saying it should last forever. It's just intended to get this jump started and then put a process in place that we hope will actually result in serious negotiations finally.
Yeah,
serious monitored negotiations that yield a end result.
Right.
It's almost, I think of it as an interim solution, a temporary interim solution that allows the parties involved to really work out a more permanent solution.
Right. But those are good points though, Kevin.
Just thinking out loud, I might start researching this. Like there's a lot of ferries across the US, like state of Washington, state of Michigan. This has to have come up before, right?
Well,
but think about some of those ferries, though. They're much bigger ferries. You're talking
it's
about.
Actually in the report too. Most of them actually are public services. They're not private.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And that's why when you look at the economics in the report, except under a contractor operated, publicly owned ferry, none of the other options actually make money.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the other problem with all of this. And even though the ferry owner now obviously has resources, the fact is the ferry is not a huge moneymaker. So.
And at a minimum, it has to be an incentive for the business owner to be able to make something with it, because they're still responsible for the insurance they have to carry on it, the upkeep, all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a disincentive to not have the counties involved. They need to be it's about time that they recognize that they actually do have a true partnership in this.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's part of that 2-year window and get it together.
Yeah. Ultimately that's underlying a lot of this is trying to get the government engaged and actually that's what I use the term, get my hands dirty. I mean, we just need to do something and start making something happen. It's just been too long. So whether it'll work or not, I don't know, but I think it's worth a shot. And that's why we thought the letter was worth trying.
I'll send another paragraph to tie in those other funding sources link. And then if you could incorporate it into what I sent and fix my typos, I'd appreciate it.
Then what's the process for going forward from this point then? We don't have to actually sign it, I don't think. We can just say Fair Access Committee, right, with the names of the members and or do we have to sign it? I don't think so.
Well,
I thought you were putting the chamber and all that stuff on it. No?
Yeah, we would, but I'm not sure we need to have them sign it. We can say president, the name of the president of the committee, which is Tom Kettler or whatever, but.
Laura, I'm curious for Laura's thinking from a PR or marketing standpoint, what do you think would have the biggest impact? Signatures or what Lincoln saying?
So I think not signatures, but more groups signing off on it. Like not just us in the chamber, maybe some other local organizations or business owners, maybe some folks on the Loudoun County side.
Yeah, I think the more people, the better. Either signing on to the letter, just keeping the drumbeat going, constant communication, hearing from people that it's important to, I think is important. But it's good to have more people sign on to it. I think, if it's going to take a long time though, to get groups to sign on to it, I would issue it on behalf of the Fair Access Committee and the commission, and then encourage everybody else, to get their own communications going, because you don't want it to drag out. We're coming up on a year, and the harm, the day by day, economic impact.
We've wasted enough time being on hold. Let's not do that. And I think that it should be the three groups. I don't know if we can speak for Virginia. I mean, I'd like to be able to, but I think the three prominent groups could be. Gosh, can you imagine? Maybe we can get Montgomery Countryside Alliance to sign it. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
So if you just put Laura in the letter at the bottom,
probably not.
At the end, you say the commissioners of Poolesville, and then list their names. The Fair Access Committee list with obviously chair or president with Carrie, and then the Poolesville Chamber of Commerce with Tom, and I guess he has a vice president and maybe a secretary. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I mean, you could even just say, list the commissioners' names. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we have to overthink it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that should be relatively simple. We just need to talk to Tom and make sure his members are comfortable with it. I don't think he's actually seen it yet, but once he does, hopefully we can get him on board.
I sent him both drafts. He kind of knew if he was going to be seeing. So
okay, so he knows about it. Okay.
And he is coming to the breakfast tomorrow. We had Carrie actually is quarantining, so she's not coming.
Okay.
Jeff Eck is coming, and Martin is still outstanding. Just as an FYI, I haven't heard back from him. So
I think somebody heard that he can't go. Was it you, Link?
Yeah, he sent me a text saying he couldn't, but so I don't think he is, but maybe he's going to text you later. I don't know, but I thought in a text to me he said he wasn't going to be able to make it. So
well, we have one last seat then available if there's anybody that's strategic to invite at the last minute.
How about, I wonder if David Griffith would be good, Jim?
Could. Yeah, I don't know his number.
I don't know. I can contact him. But Ed,
give him a
definitely
go.
coming, and Jim, you're coming, and I'm coming, right? So that's all of us are coming, plus Tom.
Yeah, Ed, Jeff Eck,
Yeah.
you, me.
All right, and then Tom Kettler. Okay.
And Tom Kettler, yeah. Thanks, Laura, again for doing this for us.
Yeah,
we really
thank you.
appreciate it.
All right, I'll reach out. So I think we got a game plan on the letter. We just we should hopefully get it out. I would think next week at the latest, Monday or Tuesday. So
Absolutely. I'll send over my little changes tonight. Then you can clean me up, Link, and we can send it over.
okay,
But we've got to get it into the hands of the chamber to make sure that they can vote on it too.
right.
And he'll put it in front of the board as soon as we send it to them. And they probably won't wait for their board meeting on Tuesday night. They'll probably just give it a approval and let us go.
Okay.
And guys, after this letter gets sent, should we not let it end there and share the letter with other groups?
Absolutely. No,
And then see if they will send it something similar of that nature?
Yeah, they could just say they endorse. We are in receipt of the letter that we've seen the letter from the chamber and blah, blah, blah. And we 100% what they have said and urge you to take action immediately or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. We could do that.
Is there anyone in Loudoun County also that similar to us, but that is supportive, that can also put some pressure on?
We could send a letter to Caleb just to let him know what we're doing. And also Chuck Kuhn. Chuck never responded. We actually asked him to see if he could go with us tomorrow to the Montgomery County Legislative Breakfast, and he did not respond. But Caleb would probably be the only one. Maybe Mayor Burks from Leesburg.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be great. I think the letter needs to go. I think we're planning on sending it to all the guys, right? To the Loudoun County.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking about
too, right?
just as we're sending letters out. I'm wondering if there's anyone in Leesburg or groups or even like a Leesburg Chamber of Commerce or a group that would also say, hey, yeah, that this affects them as well. Now, granted, their population's larger, but I'm sure they're still losing some business with folks not jumping on the ferry to go over there to their shops.
Now, Jim I know, talked to the mayor of Leesburg, and I know she's at least interested in the issue. I'm not sure whether she'd sign a letter like this or agree with it. I know that Tom Kettler did speak to he reached out to the Chamber of Commerce president in Loudoun County. And I think it's fair to say that it's not a high priority for the Loudoun County Chamber of Commerce. I'm not saying they're against it or, don't want to see something happen. I just don't think it's one of their priority issues. So again, I don't think they would be against it, but I'm not sure they'd want to, I don't know how they respond, but Tom can reach out to them. It's a good idea for him to say, we're sending this letter now. Maybe you guys want to do something similar. It's certainly a good idea.
Yeah, Tom should reach out to him. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are good thoughts. So far in this whole process, and we've been trying to do a lot of work ourselves on this, I've not seen a lot of other groups step up in Loudoun County and be really vocal about this has to be solved now. I mean, certainly people have spoken to it, and there's been some commuters talk about it, but I just haven't seen the passion is the way I'd put it, Jim. I don't know if you have any different view, but.
No, I haven't seen it either. In fact, I think we got a pretty good representation of the passion when we went to their board meeting and had the board members representing their constituents with a kind of a mix of ho hum and I can't be in favor of eminent domain.
Yeah. And in the testimony, Ed, and of course, obviously some of this is people promoting and working hard to get people to speak on your behalf. But I'd say there were 8 or 10 people speaking in behalf of the Virginia landowner, and no one speaking, saying that they didn't want to see that happen. So, Kuhn didn't have any support on it. And that's not saying he doesn't. That doesn't mean that board members don't. Some of them do. I'm sure have a good relationship. He knows these people, but you didn't see it in the public presentations. I'll put it that way.
No, you didn't.
One other thing, Kevin, that I wanted to make sure we all are aware of too. And one of the reasons that this letter is so important is that, unfortunately, aside from the fact that we're the main jurisdiction affected, and I think most of the other jurisdictions just don't see the same impact, and it's harder for them to really get politically active on it because of that. The media has tended to focus almost exclusively on the battle between the two parties negotiating, because that's where the friction is. And so I think getting them to understand that there are real people affected by this, and our town really has a stake in this. It's important. Getting them to see that and focus on that too is important. It's another reason to send the letter. Jim, in terms of getting it physically to the council and the county, the board, Loudoun County board members, can the town take care of that, or?
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah,
we can do that. We can get that. We can task our guys to do that.
Okay.
No question.
All right.
Yeah. No. Let's plan on it.
All right. That was good discussion. Thanks for that. Anything else anybody has on the agenda? Any media issues, Laura, that you wanted to raise?
No. If you want us to issue the letter once it's, it goes out, we can flag it for the media. I think the 1-year anniversary is a point to consider, and using the study, the data that is in the study to really continue to talk about the facts, but then talk about the human element and impact on the businesses day by day, how it's hurt them year over year now. I think that's all good. So you just tell us if we want to be proactive, but the 1 year anniversary, they're always into anniversaries, the media. So that's something to think about.
No, I think I don't see any reason, Ed or Jim, you can weigh in, but I don't see any, if we're going to do this, we might as well make sure it gets attention if we can. So,
and keeping that in, I know I appreciate all the outreach you've done, Laura. It's been, we can see it show up all the time in various places. Justin Hinton, who's been the main Channel 7, ABC 7, appeared to have followed this thing more than anybody else. I'd love to see, I've talked to him at every single event that we've been to that he's been at. And I would love it if you could get a hold of them directly and tell them that, that Poolesville's stepping up and trying to run with the ball. He's always up for an angle.
Okay.
And if he's probably, as said, of the 4 local networks, he's done a great job of covering it.
Okay.
Boy, did I just look old. I said 3 local networks. Ouch.
Woo!
Actually,
no, I
there's
think one of
a
the good things
fourth
about,
now.
Is there really?
Well, no. So I will say WDVM out of Hagerstown has been doing a lot more news in Montgomery and Loudoun County. They even have a show after their 6 o'clock news called Loudoun Now. It's a whole half hour of Loudoun County only news.
wow.
Huh. That'd be awesome. Go ahead and throw them on your list, Laura, and see how real those guys are.
No, they're legit.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Is there any timing? Do we want to do that? Are you in town? Are you Lincoln and Jim, if you're going to be spokespeople, right over the holidays?
Definitely around. So
definitely around.
Yeah.
I would love to, anytime somebody, I think it's a newsworthy thing that we are standing up for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that also can put some pressure on, just like when Link wrote that letter to the editor of the Washington Post, that got everybody fired up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think, Laura, it's just one of the things I said in our commissioners meeting the other night is, okay, it's a year later. So what's happening? What worked? What's not working? Where are we? Where are we going?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Or have we, and I'll add one more, or have we been forgotten?
Yeah.
And because I think you have the story of the businesses, but you also have the story of the commuters.
Yeah.
And I think the impact would have been more intense had we not been in that COVID where people weren't working from home.
For sure. No, it's a story, and we'll reach out to Channel 7 for sure, and we can, dial it up as much as you guys want to. I think the timing is always important, but now that the 2 counties have gone through the formal process, I think it's very fair to ask what's next and how soon. And so, yeah. Great.
All right. Anything else for the good of the cause? You guys got a lot on the agenda tonight. You did good work. Thanks.
No, it's time to put on the dad hat.
For whatever, 8 hours till we got to get up and go do it again. Be ready.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow morning.
All right. See you tomorrow morning. What time are you guys going to get there?
I guess is it 7:30, Jim?
7:30 is as soon as you can get in. But I mean, I want to leave here at 6:45 to be there by 7:15 if we can, 7:15, 7:20.
All right, Jim, don't forget to send me the address so I can.
Yeah, I just got it. I'll send it over to you in text here in just a second.
Okay. And Laura, do we need to find you when we get there, or?
Number one, don't forget your COVID vaccination proof that you're vaccinated, or they will not let you in. So if you've got
bring my card, I got you.
Yeah. And then usually there's a table full of name tags. So you should be there. If you're not, for some reason, they should be able to print one up for you. But yeah, and then it's usually a mob scene. I'm not sure what it's going to be like tomorrow.
Yeah, I haven't gone in years. I went a few. I went a few years ago.
It is going to be interesting to see what that's like tomorrow.
Yeah. So yeah, usually just network with Ever, and then we meet up at the table. So there's no pressure, just schmooze, with important folks on key issues, and we'll meet you at the table when we sit down for bacon and eggs.
All right. See you later.
All right.
Thanks, Link. And
all right, guys.
Everybody, take care.
Yeah, later.
Night.
See you guys.
Kevin.
Bye.
Bye-bye.